I remember before we got to Wano, and we were in Whole Cake Island, everyone was so excited about Wano. And now while we're in Wano, I'm hearing people talk about just the end of Wano. What's beyond Wano? But I feel like no matter what, no matter the anticipation for an arc, the anticipation for a saga, it's inevitable that we're going to look forward. I mean, I try to enjoy Wano as it's going on for sure, but I can't help but think, how is this going to conclude? I remember also while being in Whole Cake Island in Jump Festa, Oda made an announcement. And not only did they talk about Wano being, this great thing that he's been working on and he's excited about talking about, but also he mentioned the lurking legend, the greatest enemy the Straw Hats will have ever faced, and its connection to Whitebeard. It was like a whole thing. And that's where the whole talking point started about making Marineford look small, in which Oda at that point was more than likely talking about the end of One Piece, the battle for the One Piece world, or rather for supremacy in the One Piece world. Now in hindsight, I don't think we still know exactly who the lurking legend was or is. I mean, we still have a lot of Wano left, so we can speculate, who it could be or who it was. People say it's Im. I don't think it's Im, honestly. I mean, yeah, Im could be the greatest enemy the Straw Hats will have ever faced, but we haven't really faced Im yet. And also, what's Im's connection to Whitebeard? And when I say Im, I mean Imu-sama. People say it's Rocks. And that I can kind of get behind, because Rocks, in this case, means Big Mom and Kaido. And they came together again, so therefore, they're not the full collection of the Rocks pirates, but they're somewhat representative. And honestly, if we look at who the Straw Hats have faced up to this point, they have never faced an enemy as great as Big Mom or a combination of Big Mom and Kaido. So that's something I agree with. But remember, before we got into this, what was stated is that we're entering the verses for Yonko Saga. Now this saga has been interesting. We've had a lot of twists and turns, a lot of ups and downs, but for the most part, we've always been in doubt. You always felt like Luffy would have an incredibly difficult path just based on the level of people he was going to go up against. And that was exciting and exhilarating because you wanted to see Luffy's growth. How would he overcome all of this? Going back to the fight versus Katakuri, he was severely outmatched and he figured out a way to overcome it. With Big Mom, more so eluded her, but now they're here in Wano, Kaido and Big Mom. But how does the verses for Yonko Saga end? I've talked about Big Mom and Kaido and how I do think Big Mom will be defeated, but it would be more so based on her mental state and she'd probably give way to that. For Kaido, he could go out in so many ways, by so many characters, not individually, but I think it's going to be a collective, right? So for Kaido, that's how I think that ends. Wano has to absolutely be liberated by the end. So Kaido either has to leave, be arrested, or die. And a lot of people lean more towards him dying because how else do you get rid of an overwhelming presence like Kaido? Big Mom, I think, inevitably goes back to Whole Cake Island and she's there till the end of the story, until maybe then we get Two Piece, then Big Mom is back and she's the final boss, right? Or maybe Katakuri is a Yonko, I don't know. But Big Mom, I think post Wano will not be in the story anymore. Will not be complete after we leave Wano. The verses for Emperor Saga obviously would not be completed after we leave Wano because we haven't faced 4 emperors. We faced 2, but there's still 2 more. It's funny because if we didn't have a timeline of One Piece and when it's going to end, if Oda didn't come out or if his editors didn't come out, I would more believe that the raid would fail and there'd be some delay. But with that time period, this time crunch, there's no way it can fail. We have to push forward, or even if it does fail, it's going to be in a span of a few chapters in which they bounce right back. But either way, once Wano is over and liberated, there are some more adversaries they have to overcome. And obviously, I'm talking about Shanks and Blackbeard. Now, this is an interesting thing, very interesting, because people have so many different theories as to how this could end, how this should end, and how they want it to end. I think I'm going to lay out 2 different possibilities in regards to how this goes down, because I think we cannot say this is the verses for Emperor Saga if we do not at some point touch on all 4 emperors. Yes, we saw Blackbeard and Shanks for a brief moment. Shanks was in a cover story. Blackbeard, they were both in the chapters where they talked about Luffy not being ready, and that's upon them getting to Wano. That doesn't count. We need a lot more from those 2. But what could happen here? First off, for Blackbeard, we know where he's headed. Well, we have an idea where he's headed. Based on what's going on with the world government, the abolishment of the Shichibukai system, the information around the Reverie, the ancient weapons, what's going on in Alabasta, a lot of people have speculated, myself included, that Blackbeard more than likely is going for one of these ancient weapons. Something to do with Alabasta. He mentioned that, if they don't want to do anything with it, I might as well take it for myself, which I think the world government, they have an idea, or maybe they know where the ancient weapon is and they just won't use it and they won't uncover it because, that's dangerous. Blackbeard is saying, well, I'm going to make use of it. And therefore we believe Blackbeard is going to find an ancient weapon. The thing is with Blackbeard is that he's so unpredictable, is that, yeah, we could be misled greatly in thinking that he's going after an ancient weapon and he could go after something else. We cannot forget the ancient weapons that are currently out there. We only know the location of one, and that's Shirahoshi. That's one we know for certain. And that could also come up towards the end of the Wano arc, because Caribou knows exactly where Shirahoshi is. Caribou was spying in on that conversation. Caribou tried to kidnap Shirahoshi. Caribou could absolutely get a get out of jail free card by letting Kaido know, hey, I know where the ancient weapon is. I know who the ancient weapon is. And Kaido could just leave Wano. That could throw everything on its head, because then if Kaido goes after Shirahoshi, then Luffy inevitably has to go back to Fishman Island to protect them. Maybe Luffy gets there too late, Shirahoshi gets captured, a lot of people get killed, then Luffy liberates these people by destroying Fishman Island and telling them they're going to have to go above the sea to live. Yes, it would have to involve the Noah and a bunch of different things to move these people, but we're not sure exactly what's going on with the Voice of All Things and Momonosuke. There's a lot going on there that could still be resolved. But I think Blackbeard is going to be an important piece towards the end of this Versus for Yonko saga. So the two avenues I mentioned. And these are the two ways I could see Wano possibly ending. Marines come to Wano, of course the Straw Hats, they defeat Kaido, along with help obviously, and then Kaido is arrested and taken away, and then it would be cool if we later found out that Kaido escaped and then he went to Sky Island or something, right? But he doesn't come back to Wano, because everything in Wano would be complete. Or another possible scenario is, what if Blackbeard comes to Wano? There's a very popular theory out there about Blackbeard coming to Wano and being there at the right moment after Kaido's defeated and taking that devil fruit for himself, and therefore Blackbeard becomes not only the user of one of the greatest Logia fruits, the greatest Paramecia fruit, but now he'll also have one of the greatest Zoan fruits that we've seen in the story so far. There's something that we're not really clear on, and that's the source of Kaido's impenetrable defense. Is this a result of his fruit? Because Luffy specifically talked about Kaido's scales and learning Ryo to overcome those scales. And this ties in really well, because let's say Blackbeard does eat Kaido's devil fruit, Luffy's already learned Ryo to overcome the scales. So when Luffy actually fights Blackbeard at the end, he already has a way to hurt Blackbeard. I mean, he has to overcome the Gurgur no Mi and the Yami Yami no Mi, in addition to Kaido's scales and that impenetrable defense. But he will already have a way and figured out a way to defeat that level of defense. So it would make sense. But if Blackbeard does come to Wano, he's not coming alone. Because I think if Blackbeard comes, then Shanks comes as well. And if we have Shanks, Blackbeard, Kaido, and Big Mom all in Wano, I'm not sure how that island survives. That island should be destroyed based on how many powerful individuals are there. Because then Luffy's there as well. And Luffy, he's ascending to that level. Can one island, can one country really handle all that? But then there's another thing, and that's Elbaf. There's been speculation about Elbaf being Shanks' arc, Shanks' territory. Shanks is the man who currently has control over the greatest army in the One Piece world, as told by Big Mom. Elbaf more than likely is the next place that we would go to, and if Shanks is really there, then that would be a great place for Shanks and Luffy to reminisce, maybe have a quick spar, and then Shanks tell Luffy, you're officially a great pirate, you can keep the hat. It'll be a great moment, a great time for them to just unwind. Usopp can have his moment, they can probably joke about Big Mom and the whole marriage. It could be a great thing going on in Elbaf. It would also be a great way to kind of get away from just how dark Wano was in a very light-hearted place and have a very light-hearted arc in Elbaf in which Oda could run wild. Shanks and Luffy could probably have a Davy back arc. Would be really fun. But then after that, Luffy goes his own way. Then shortly after, we see Shanks and he's approached by Blackbeard. Then we have Shanks versus Blackbeard, who personally I think Shanks inevitably loses to Blackbeard. Luffy finds out, and then I think Luffy fights Blackbeard before the final war to decide who is in control of the One Piece world. Yes, Luffy also finds the One Piece before that war, but I think he has to fight Blackbeard as well, because again, that's a part of the Versus for Yonko saga. I think Luffy has to at some point encounter all four. How it ends? Luffy wins. Luffy defeats Blackbeard, then he goes on to get the One Piece, and then they have to face the world government and the final boss in Im-sama for the One Piece world. Granted, the politics of what goes on in regards to what happens to the world after the Celestial Dragons are gone, that's very difficult to discern. But I think wholeheartedly, the more likely scenario is that Luffy, after Wano, meets Shanks. After he meets Shanks, Shanks meets Blackbeard, and then Luffy meets Blackbeard. And then that's the end of the Versus for Yonko saga. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you see this ending? Like, what's your route? In your mind, based on what's going on in the story, leave your thoughts below in regards to how do you see this saga ending? Or do you think it ends with Wano? Maybe you think we don't need to interact with Shanks and Blackbeard. Interacting with the Big Mom and Kaido is enough. We've seen them in the story, and therefore Oda covers his bases. Give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram, Brogdy.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.